Hi there, welcome to another video of mine. In this video we'll be looking at F4, F5, F6, which is inverse proportion. But before getting to that, first and foremost I would recap what we covered in the previous video. Example that we used was the relationship between earning somebody earn and the number of hours that they work. We said that there is a direct relationship between earnings and the number of hours that somebody works. So your earning goes up the more hours you work. Similarly, your earning will go down the less hours you work. Then after that, we've covered F1, F2, F3. They're all very similar. The only difference between all three learning outcome was F1 you had x on its own, F2 you had x to the power of 2, and F3 you had x to the power of 3. So on the right hand side here are the three steps that we need to use in this topic to get to our answer. So what I'm going to do now is I will be using these three steps to answer the question on the left hand side here. Write an equation linking the two variables y is directly proportional to x cubed. As soon as I see this, the first thing that should come to mind is y is directly proportional to x cubed. Then step 1, form the equation. We replace the proportional symbol, the little fish, with equal. Okay, we keep everything else the same. Step 1 done. Step 2, now substitute. When y is equal to 54, we need to find the value of k here, 3 to the power of 3. The right hand side gives me 27k equal 54. Then solve this, divide by 27 on both sides, k is 2. Final step, rewrite step 1. So this is step 1, this is step 2. Rewrite step 1, but this time with the value of k in it. So y is equal to k is 2, keep the x cubed the same, and this is my final answer. Okay, now let's move on to inverse. A good example here is focusing on speed, distance, and time. As speed increases, time decreases. The faster you go, the least amount of time it will take you to get to your destination. So here we can say that speed and time are inversely proportional to each other. Why? Because the faster we go, the shorter the time gets. Now, here, when one value increases at the same rate, the other decreases. So here, if speed goes up, the time it takes would of course go down. Similarly, if you reduce the speed that, say, somebody is driving, then of course the time it takes for them to get to where they need to get to will go up. Next part, how do we express this now mathematically? The way we write that for inverse proportionality is, watch this very carefully, speed is inversely proportional to time. This here is read as speed is inversely proportional to time. Moving on to F4, let's do an example now. Y is inversely proportional to x, y equal 10 when x equal 2. Again here, we are going to follow exactly the same three steps which we have been using for F1, F2, F3, and as you can see, it is on the right hand side here. So first and foremost, y is inversely proportional to x. Very first thing that comes to mind is y is inversely proportional to x. Then, similar to F1 to F3, the next thing that I do, I replace the proportional symbol with equal, okay? I do exactly the same here. I keep everything else the same. This here means k multiplied by 1 over x. Why? This can now be rewritten as k over x. The next step, is we substitute. So this is my first step. Next step is substitute the values given to me in here. So y is equal to 10. K is the constant we're trying to find, and the value of x is 2. Multiply by 2 on both sides here gives the constant k 20. That is step 2. And lastly, step 3, rewrite step 1, but this time with the k value in it. Step 1 here, I'm going to rewrite this. Y equal k is 20, value of k 20, over x. And this is my final answer. Another example, F5 this time. Again, is very similar, as you can see. Only difference here, apart from the number between F4 and F5, you've got x on its own. Here, you've got x to the power of 2. Y is inversely proportional to x squared. First thing we do, y inversely proportional to x squared. Replace this with equal k, which will give me y equal k multiplied by 1 over x squared. This can be rewritten as y equal k over x squared. That is step 1. Step 2, substitute. Y is 3. K we need to try and find, over x is 2, the power of 2. So 3 equal k over 4. Multiply by 4 on both sides gives k equal 12. This is step 2, substitution part. And lastly, we substitute the value of k into step 1, which is y equal, value of k here is 12 over x squared. And this is our final answer. And lastly, the last learning outcome, the last fluency learning outcome in this unit. Again, the difference between F5 and F6, here we've got x to the power of 3, but all the process remain the same, nothing changes. So I am going to do this a little bit faster. Here's a question. Y is inversely proportional to x cubed, y inversely proportional to x cubed. I replace this with equal k. This can now be rewritten as this cube. Let's rewrite that properly. Step 1. Next step, substitute. When y is 6, k over 2 to the power of 3 here, which is 8. Multiply by 8 on both sides gives k is 48. This is step 2. And lastly, step 3, rewrite step 1 with the k value in it. So y equal 48 over x cubed. This is my final answer. This is all the fluency covered now. First 3, F1 to F3 are direct proportion, and F4, F5, F6 are inverse proportion. Very, very simple and straightforward. Now, just before we finish this video, here's the final thing we're going to look. What's the same and what's different between F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, and F6? So, earning, the example that we looked at was for F1 to F3, earning is directly proportional to hours one work. So, when something is directly proportional, your very first line that you write would look like this. So here, if I was to fill in the blanks, in here would go E for earning is directly proportional to hours. That would be step 1. On the right hand side, speed is inversely proportional to time. So speed inversely proportional to time. Again, this will be step 1. Then the next step, you will need to substitute, and then for the final answer, substitute back the k value into the step 1, and that will be your final answer. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Next video, we'll be focusing on P1.